morning traders, Joseph here from Eightcap. Welcome to today's market update. Overnight we saw a pretty good fight back from the USD and the Japanese yen, mainly affected the risk majors. So we can see the pound in front of us, we can see that move here, how strong that was. This also affected the euro and affected the Aussie. Now this is a little bit interesting because we have more trade deal optimism around US stocks, which led them to further solid gains last night. Now you'd normally think that with trade optimism that the Aussie dollar would at least rally, but that wasn't the case overnight, and the yen, which has been lower on trade optimism, was actually higher last night. So we can see a good fight back from the yen as well to the risk currencies, and the euro and the pound were hit pretty hard. So if we then compare that over to stocks, we can see we did discuss US30 in detail yesterday in both reports. We were wondering about this bar here, if it was going to form a continuation. Well, I'm not calling that I called anything, but basically the trade optimism basically carried this buying forward. It was also backed up by news about reduction in tariffs, and that really just did spur buying on. So we had a really solid rally last night. The Dow added 1.16%, hitting new records once again. The DAX added 1.03%, and gold also moved higher. It added just over 0.5% and hit new weekly highs. Oil did finish slightly lower, but the losses weren't too substantial. Now the ASX is higher this morning. It's up just over 0.5%. And we're seeing a pretty good fight back now after that very strong decline to finish the year. So far we've seen in 2 days of trade quite a strong, very solid fight back at this point in the time. So just over 1.63%, so it's pulled back those last 2 days of losses that we saw to end the year. We're also watching the dollar yen this morning. So the yen was actually the strongest currency last night. As you can see, it did knock the USD lower. Now US dollar yen's been sitting at this support point for a fair period of time now. We did have a breach last night. Buyers pulled back after that test was made. That test went all the way down, beating this low all the way down to the level in October. Sorry, that point in October. Didn't quite make a new low, but it did test the opening price at that point. But it was pulled back very quickly. So we're going to watch this support to see if this continues to hold, and if the longer it continues to hold, we could possibly see a substantial fight back from buyers at some point in time, if they continue to hold that point. But at this stage it's looking fairly strong at the moment, but we do have a trend break now. We can see that pretty clearly. It's broken pretty much all levels. So the last thing we're looking to see remain in play is this support here. So while this support holds, we'll be looking for a possibility of this range, which is still maintaining to continue. We'll see maybe a range hold, move back to the midpoint. But if sellers are able to break this support point, we'll be looking for a continuation lower in this new short-term trend. So a lot will come into play if we do have a classic lower high and then a move lower, or if we do have a new rally, lower high and then higher low, then we'll look for that range to continue. Now news-wise, the Nikkei the Japanese market still closed for bank holidays today. Moving on to Saturday morning, we do have some high impact news at 2 a.m. Australian Eastern Daylight Time. We have the ISM manufacturing PMI. Markets are looking for that to come in at 49, and at 6 a.m. on Saturday morning we have the FOMC meeting minutes, and I think traders will be looking for a continuation of what's been looked for, and that's basically a holding phase to continue for US interest rates. So that's it for today's report. We hope you have a fantastic weekend, and until next week, good trading and bye for now.